What's going on, everybody? I want to welcome y'all to episode 9 of Into the Comiverse. Got a new intro. Y'all seen that? Got a good show headed tonight. We got a couple guys in the backstage. I'm going to bring them up. First of all, we got Mike from Evil's Comics. What's going on, brother?
Hey everybody, hey Tony.
You been having a good day so far?
Oh yeah, it's a good Saturday. Good Saturday, you?
Yeah, it's been great. Been working real hard doing videos and such, but hey, I'm here. And we also got Cliff from Cliff on Comics. What's up, brother?
How are you guys?
Just hanging, man. I'm gonna be showing off a couple of videos. I've got my video for my C3 Comics Curing Cancer donation. It's done. I'm gonna play that tonight. I'm gonna play my big announcement video for something coming up for the Comiverse channel. We're going to talk about our favorite stories in comics, whether those stories, whether they're past or something new that just makes you go, "Damn!" when you finished reading it. But I was going to say, let's go to the comments, and we got TM Nerdy saying, "Let's go." So we're caught up on comments.
Hey Travis.
I know. I noticed that. Who was it? I want to say DVH told me that. I think Chris the Comic Vet's doing his live voting. So I'll segue into that and say, if you haven't voted yet for your CBC Awards, go to www.cbcawards.org and cast your votes, because we got a couple of guys right here in the panel that are finalists.
That's right.
Also, if you haven't voted yet, what are you waiting for? Come on.
Exactly. Right. I've already voted. I don't know how many. What was it? I remember how many brides said it's already voted. It's like over 1,500 or something like that.
Yeah, over 15.
I'm so excited because last year the total was only 850.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, that was the total.
That was the total. So we're so close to doubling the total of votes from last year.
Yep.
That is awesome.
Also, unlike a lot of other people, I've been campaigning like a mofo. So I am out there. I am hitting the bricks. I am just slapping up everybody I know from the U.S. to Canada to Puerto Rico and back again. And I'm like, vote for me and my good friend from Empire. Go, go, go.
That's right.
Hold on a second. We got another guy here. We got Dr. DVH from the Beyond the Pod, baby.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, DVH.
Sorry I'm late. I got a bit sidetracked. I had to go to the little Mal's room, if you know what I mean.
It happens, brother. It happens.
Yeah.
I told the guys backstage that I'm still on mobile hotspot, and I got my wife's iPad, which I don't know how much is left, but I got my phone as a backup. So if I disappear, I'll pop back on. No problem.
No worries. Cool.
But
my time.
So let's move on to our first segment, and I'm going to use this fancy little intro that I did just because I was goofing off, and we're going to community news. I like it. So, community news. I'm trying to be fancy here. Community news. So, let's talk about tomorrow night on what, Trev? Your and Mike's show. Trev's doing his 1,000 subscriber giveaway, right? I hope everybody goes and checks that out. I'm not sure what time is he doing that. Do you know?
I think it's 9 p.m. Central. For me, it's 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I want to say it's 10 p.m. Eastern.
It's about 2 a.m. here, so I look
2 a.m. UK time. No.
That's cool. And we've already talked about CBC Awards. Like I said, go out and cast your vote. So now we got 3 finalists here.
That's right.
I've already voted, so
I'm grateful we're in different categories.
Me too.
Yeah. It's always nice. Don't have
to compete.
I feel like
no frenemies here.
Honestly, I don't feel like I'm competing with anybody. I just can't believe that anybody voted for me in the first place, let alone winning. It's just not going to happen. But I just seriously, it means that people are checking out my stuff, which is really cool. Yes. It's what's making me really chuffed about it the most. Like,
do your analytics not tell you that people are checking out your stuff?
Well, I mean, it's always a pleasure to know that they exist and they engage, isn't it? Like, It's the most fun thing about
that they listen to what you're saying when they watch you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make a little confession. I voted for the 3 guys that's in this room.
Hey,
that's very kind, sir.
Thanks,
very
Tony.
kind.
I'm pretty certain I share those votes.
I was gonna say I might not watch every one of your videos, although I'm trying. I'm way behind. I got a lot of catching up to do when I get my home internet back, hopefully in 2 weeks. Fingers crossed. So I got a lot of catching up to do, watching past videos and so forth. But looking forward to that. And
well, at least you'll have plenty to do, won't you? Right.
Oh yeah.
A lot of work. My channel is not to be used like that. You watch what you want on my channel, okay? I don't. There's no. I mean I don't get hung up on that. I mean, I have so many friends in the comic community. If I sat there and be like, "How come you don't watch my stuff? How come you don't watch my stuff?" No, I enjoy. I mean, just being able to interact with everybody. I mean, if I can watch their stuff, if they can, But I like my channel to be used as a tool. Come watch a review if you want to.
Do you know how many of you out there I have watched at double speed running in the background? And, it's just, you're all out there like, this picture, and the last of truth. Yeah. And then like, when I'm not actually working and doing other things, like I'll come over and then I'll like make a comment on something that caught my attention, just so you get the views, just so you get the like, just so you get the comment, just everything.
Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
I guess I'm going to use this as part of community news. I'm going to play a video, and this is I made 2 videos today. This is my donation this year for C3. This video is about almost 5 minutes long. I'm going through the process of me making my clock, but I hope y'all like it, and we'll get to that. Let's see here. Video file. Like I said, I'm still learning this stuff. So here we go. I believe. Hold on.
Hopefully short video I put together.
All right. And
what's going on, everybody? This is Tony here at Comiverse.
Ahead.
And in this hopefully short video I put together, I'm going to show you what I'm contributing to the C3 Comics Curing Cancer event for October. This is a little clock I'm putting together. I hope you like it, and I hope the video's short. I don't know how the editing is going to be, but let's get to it. Boy, that is a nice Spider-Man wall decor. It would be a total shame if somebody were to
So you went through the entire process, did you, Tony?
Yeah, I edited a lot of it out. I had like 30 minutes of video that I edited out for a 4-minute video.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to take. Yeah, I just wanted to take everybody through the process of. Because I've done these before, but I've never videotaped myself actually making the clock.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
A lot of it was outside stuff, varnishing, cutting, and all that stuff, but I enjoyed it. And I just hope it ain't too long-winded.
I like the music in the background. It's all angelic.
I just
It's
picked
also
that on.
It's
Go ahead.
also smart. It's smart to videotape the making of it because it gives the viewer a little bit more of a connection, so that they might pay a little bit more. If you know what I mean? Like, it's smart. I like it.
I had to throw Miyagi in there when I was sanding down.
Wax on, wax off.
There he is.
It's good, Tony-san. Good.
Yeah, it says on here that I was waiting 2 hours for the varnish to dry. It took 2 days.
Oh wow!
Oh, damn. 2 days.
Yeah.
I could imagine he kept going over there and touching it. He's like, damn it, it's still wet.
Yeah.
Wait, we went from angelic music. Now we got like the horror vibes going. Good job.
It's the same music.
It's one track.
Yeah. It's like he went from angelic to horror and like. This was the
What
part
was the
where
name
I
of the
think
track? You know, House of Mysteries.
I don't really remember. It's on my Pro Director, the software that I use to edit my videos.
Right. That's really cool. Like, it's the kind of thing I put on in the background whilst I'm reading Tomb of Dracula. So, like,
I'm not exactly sure, but it's either Dark Moon or Heretical Savior or something like that. I know I probably mispronounced that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love both names.
Right.
But yeah, usually when I do this music, I just go with whatever. I never really.
Okay.
I was like, well, that sounds right.
I usually go with what fits, the mood, stuff like that. Music's fun, that's probably one of my favorite parts of making reels or, shorts or something like that. Something where you can add music to.
yeah.
And I'm always trying to just use this music there in the Power Director because I hadn't gotten dinged for that yet.
Hey, Kenneth.
There it is, folks. This is my donation for C3 Comics Curing Cancer. I had a lot of fun making it, and congratulations to whoever gets it. I'm going to box this thing up and send it to Rob, and then him and the gang can decide whether or not they want to put this in the prize drawings or the auction. That is completely up to them. Like I said, I wanted to donate something, and I hope whoever gets this will enjoy it. So thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
The clock face is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It looks really like sort of professional. Like you bought it as a clock, if you see what I mean. Like, it doesn't look like you've bunged it on there. Like, really cool.
Well, I don't remember how long it was. Maybe I think it's been 5 years. I started doing these clocks with. I made one for my mom for her birthday, and since then I've done. And normally I use the metal 10 signs you'd find at Hobby Lobby or you'd order from Amazon, and I'd basically put it on a piece of wood after I, did the cutting and varnished it and everything. But this is the first time it's ever like a wood on wood, thing. And even though both pieces of wood are wood glued together with Gorilla Glue, I've actually got the screws in there to make sure that it all maintains and it don't fall apart. And the great thing is whoever gets it, if the clock ever quits or messes up, you can go to Hobby Lobby and exchange and just take out that whole part and replace it for like $7. So I mean, but it does take patience putting that last part of that clock, putting all the hands and everything on there. That does take a lot of patience. I'm gonna say hi to Kenneth Bird. What's going on, brother? And Wilbur, what's going on? Oh, we got Chop as well.
Chop.
Hey, Wilbur. Hey, Chop.
And we got Mr. DVH. So what do y'all think, man? Y'all think that's a worthy donation?
That's
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great. Yeah.
I love it.
I just want to do something different.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to see more of that kind of thing, like, because we're going to get a lot of comics, I would assume.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to stand out a little bit, and I'll be the first one to say I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give them comics. So, like, that's more work than I'm willing to take. I'm just terrible at that kind of thing anyway. You don't want anything built by me. It's as a rule.
It took me about a few hours a day. Like I said, the biggest thing was waiting on the varnish to dry or waiting on the glue to dry or whatever. But altogether, just a few hours a day. But it still took me like 12 days. So I mean, but
nice.
and I sent the finished picture to Rob on Instagram, and his comment was, "Wow." That's all he said was, "Wow."
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. Like,
it looks amazing.
Really
yeah, it really does.
But if we don't have any other community news, I'm going to go into new. Anybody got anything they want to show off for New Comic Book Day, or any back issue?
I got a thing. I got a thing. Let's see if I can find it.
I'll go last. DVH, we'll start with you. As Durs would say, I choose you. I'm ripping people off today. Well, I do that every day, but still.
I'm cannibalizing my own content here, but it's only a little bit of what I got in a box from. It's like a Transformers box from eBay, which had like a bunch of different issues in. You'll see it on my next video, I think. But the main reason I jumped on it was because it had this with it.
Oh wow, that is awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Is that a
Definitely
choose your own
don't-
No, it's a quiz book. So
Yeah,
adventure
auto
book?
puzzling and
I
quiz
am on a
book.
phone. I can't see anything.
so you've got like word searches, number of things.
Is it blank the whole thing, or has it been written in?
There's a few bits that have had scribbled in, like
Mm,
a kid had a go at that one.
yeah, I found a couple over the years, but I always find them littered up.
Loads
That's
of fun.
really cool, though.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's nearly completely unfinished. If you do a dot to dot there,
Hell
why
yeah!
not?
Draw your own.
Yeah.
I had a
Which
bunch of those.
Megatron's which? So yeah, really fun. I really enjoyed this.
Heck yeah!
Nice back
That's
cover.
something different.
Yeah. I think I
Did that
had
come
one when
out-
I was a kid, but
That was my next question. If it looked like it came out in the 80s.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah. 85 this is from, so way back in the day. Cost the huge amount of £1.75. You can't see that there, but yeah,
It's not
there
bad.
you go.
I had a bunch of
Mine
those
didn't.
as a kid, but not that specific one. But I had like a bunch of those quiz, and they're fun.
Well,
That'll do me.
Cliff,
I'm,
all right.
I'm good.
Cliff, Mike, y'all got anything y'all want to show or?
Well, since I'm in Ottawa, I don't have my new comics from this week. But let me tell you that at the show yesterday, I did find one of my Grail books.
Ooh.
Grills are always cool.
So I will share that with you today. If it comes to me right away. Oh, those are actually, there's some really fun things I picked up. All right. So, first appearance of Timberwolf.
Cool.
Okay, now I'm not familiar who Timberwolf is.
So, Timberwolf is a member of the Legion of Superheroes, and he's basically Wolverine before Wolverine ever existed.
Okay.
Right.
Because no one wants to hear that, but I'm here to speak the truth.
Speak it, Justice for Timberwolf.
Exactly.
Right.
Justice for Timberwolf. I got this. And it's funny because Fang of the Imperial Guard is based on Timberwolf. And Wolverine fought him and took his costume. And then, of course, the team didn't like John Byrne's idea for that. So nope, we're scrapping the Fang outfit. I got this Venom #4 McFarlane homage cover.
That's
Nice.
nice.
Yeah,
I could not resist my precious Jean Grey.
Phoenix, sorry. Alex Ross.
Yeah.
And then I'll show you the other fun ones. So I asked this. I got this guy to knock these 3 books down to me for all 3 for $60. So it's the Miles cover with that red negative space. This Sins of Sinister Road cover,
Cool.
and I love Road, so of course I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And then this DNA cover, which I'm definitely gonna go have signature series.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I'm like, don't you guys I'll do all 3 for $60, and I don't think it's 60 Canadian, yeah. And the Grail book that I picked up,
Oh, nice.
Miracle Man #1.
Oh wow.
And I literally on Instagram, the CGC contest
I just saw that.
they said name one of your Grails, and I chose this one, and that was Thursday night, and then Friday evening I'm buying this.
Yeah,
Wow.
I just saw that maybe yesterday or the day before, Cliff, because I saw your, on that Grail post that was your Grail.
And I couldn't believe it. And then I was not prepared for this show. So like the fact that I saw Carl Kerschel here, I didn't know he was Canadian, and he's the artist for the Ambassadors.
Oh, cool.
So I picked up the graphic novel and had him sign it, and he was just a lovely dude. Everybody here is great. I mean, there's a couple people that I was like, oh, like there was. I'll tell you one little funny story. I know I don't want to monopolize everybody, but so there's someone I follow on Instagram who has a Canadian shop. So they're one of the people I found here like right away. And like I was excited to make the personal connection. But this person was hard selling me. And I'm like, you're literally the first stop I made at the show. Right? And then like so then I befriend this guy at the end of the show, and we have this lovely conversation. And he's like, you know what? He's like, you're looking at these X-Men comics. I got a bunch of X-Men comics over there that are $3 a pop. Go look at them, right? And then we just kept talking, and he asked me how my parents met, like why I have a Canadian father. And then we're exchanging information, and it was just so cool. And I'm like, and now of course we're Instagram buddies. We've already messaged each other like 7 times today. I'm like, how's the show going? And I was like. So that was, and I sent him all the information on Instagram for all the other Canadian YouTubers. I was like, no, you got to hook up with these guys. They're great.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. I'm going through my stack trying to decide what I want to show and what I don't. I've got a lot of books from the last couple of weeks, and some of these first books I've showed off during, believe it was last Sunday's sesh with Durs. So Mike's going to see some repeats.
That's fine.
All right. So, okay, this first branch of books, last week I was in Conway at the Bat Cave. Now, these are all pickups from Bat Cave and Game Exchange. I got a bunch of these at Game Exchange. The last ones are from the Bat Cave, but I got this Dr. Spectre.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I've got a Dr. Spectre graded right there.
And a Boris Karloff Whitman. I just got it because it caught my eye. All right. I got this old Superman. I say old, but I'm not exactly sure.
No, it's old enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's old enough. They're all old. Action Comics. I'm probably not keeping these up here long enough, but I got New Teen Titans number 71.
That's a cool cover.
Yeah, that's why I bought it. That was strictly a cover buy. Got a couple of Firestorms. I don't know what volume this is, but I've got this issue number 1.
I'm pretty sure that's volume 3.
3? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then I got this from volume 2. I got issue 95.
Yep.
And then I've got Iron Man number 83.
Nice.
And I don't know if any of these have anything significant. I just picked them up because the covers caught my eye. Got Fantastic Four issue 180.
That one's pretty.
Yeah, that's dope.
Got a Cap 208.
Yep.
Cool.
We got. I think I actually said this wrong on Durs's when I looked it up. Incredible Hulk 319. I said it was the wedding of Rick Jones, but I think this is the wedding of Bruce Banner. Somebody getting married. Somebody getting married.
Or almost married, right? They never get married.
Yeah, well, that's true. Got Titans number 1. That was another cover by. I picked this up. This is, I don't know what volume it is. I know it's the same volume that brought us Echo, but this is Daredevil number 3. That was a cover by.
Great cover. That's a great cover too. Just anyways.
Yeah, Frank Miller almost.
This next one I bought, and Mike knows what it is. Should know what it is. I bought this just because I was like, "What the is this?" It's the life and times of Pope John Paul II, baby.
Yeah, I saw you show that off. That's hilarious.
Book my mother owns.
Yeah, and that's a big book. It's not it goes for some money, not big money, but it's a sought after book because there's not too many Like,
And I don't remember
real
who it was. I don't remember who it was, but on Durz's channel, somebody showed the Mother Teresa comic, and I didn't even know there was a Mother Teresa comic. I think it was it
Might have
Scotty or
been
somebody?
Scott. Yeah, it might have been Scott. I know DAnime, DX. He has a lot of those type of comics. I know Caroline does too. Lady Fantastic.
So those were all the books I got from Game Exchange. I stopped at a flea market, got this next book for $1.50 all day long. It was New
Oh,
Avengers,
nice.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
first
cool.
appearance of was it Illuminati?
Illuminati for $1.50, you're winning there, mate. That's tremendous.
Oh yeah. And then
Big
the
time.
Batcave. Now I don't want to speak ill about the Batcave, but the last couple of times I've went, they are not selling any new comics. It's all basically old stuff, and they got boxes for days, and that's fine. I mean, if you think about it, most LCSs, their bread and butter is backstock, but it's so disorganized. But I still like going there. I always find something cool, and this is what I found this time that I thought was cool. And I picked this up because I read the trade, fell in love with it, and it's Nemesis.
Oh yeah,
Great.
I got issue 1, 2, issue 3, and issue 4.
nice.
And that's just the first stack. Like I said, I'm probably going to bore y'all.
I guess the upside to it being disorganized is you can stumble across stuff that,
Oh yeah,
might be more sought after because like it's not in the right place. So
Yeah, because of disorder. I kind of agree.
I'm just impressed that they get away with the name The Batcave. They must have paid DC a licensing fee.
I guess there's a store in Memphis now called Batcave Treasures that I haven't went to yet.
We have one in Houston too. We have one in Houston specifically called the Batcave. That's all it was called, and it was kind of cool. It was like a comic book / restaurant. Like the front half was like a burger joint, and the back half was like a comic place. It was kind of cool.
nice.
We have a diner by me, and it is called the Daily Planet. But they paid a licensing fee to DC ages ago.
So the next stack is some books I got yesterday. My buddy Greg Ellis, he's the guy that cleans and presses my comics. He said he had a surprise for me. He said I was going to hashtag break the market, but he got me some Darkhawk books. These are all Darkhawk, and some of them are in better condition than others. But
It's a guy that gets a bad rap, but I was a big fan of Darkhawk as a teenager.
I used to actually have the full run, and I sold it.
I can't say I ever had the full run or read it consecutively, but he was always shown as a friend of Spider-Man. So any friend of Spider-Man, especially more on a street level kind of thing, I always viewed them as like super cool. Like Daredevil was always up there. Like
that's a dope cover.
Yeah,
anything with Punisher on is always good.
Like Night Thrasher was up there because he crossed over with Spider-Man.
Oh, I enjoyed Warriors. I love that.
Yeah, the New Warriors was my jam.
I didn't read a lot of New Warriors, but I did read when they would cross over to other. I had that one. It was 3 issues of the Venom, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, there's just some books he had lying around, and he just threw them together and gave them to me. This one I need a better copy. It's kind of messed up here in the corner, but it's good to have. All right, so now I'll move on to my new books. This is going to be short. That's what she said. So I got Conan issue number 2. Now, this one was the cover in my file. I don't know who did it. I guess it's a throwback to Archie.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really digging the cover, but I mean, hey, I get to read the book. So.
It is the least cool of the covers, but it's a good book. I've read it, and it's a. Like, I'm all in on this Conan run. I've never really read Conan before, and I love it. It's great.
It honestly feels like an homage to the original, and I've never read the original, but I have to imagine that it feels like a continuation of that. I love Conan.
That first issue blew me away.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so I got the new issue of Scorched, issue 21. Then I went ahead and picked this up, and I could not find cover A. I'm still going to look for it if I can get it because I love Alex Ross, but this is a variant cover for Immortal Thor. Heard a lot of people talk about it, so I went ahead and picked it up so I can give it a read.
Yeah.
Is that foily too, or is the lighting
No,
just like...
It's just the lighting. It's just
Oh,
a
okay.
regular.
I was gonna say, because if there's another foil of that out there,
The foil was
Now
pretty good.
that foil's
the
gorgeous.
next the next two is just it just clarifies that apparently I'm a sadist and I didn't know it because I dropped ASM 30 at issue 31, but everybody kept talking about the Craven storyline, so I went and picked them up. I've got a incentive cover of 31 in my file. If I'd have gotten it, I'd have went over my budget, and I really didn't have the money. But I got issue 32 and the new issue 33.
Great
So
cover.
I'm giving them one more chance because honestly, when I dropped it, it just felt weird going to the LCS and not picking up Amazing Spider-Man. That thing has been in my file or in some kind of pull list for me for 36 years.
Yeah.
But I
I
know
think
I'm trying to remember.
that's sort of how they get away with it. Really, is that everybody so
Yeah.
badly wants to like it, and they've had it in their lives for so long.
Did we lose DVH?
No, he's talking.
I can't hear him.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear him.
Did you disappear? Did I disappear? Yeah, everybody's always had it in their lives for so long that they can get away with a bit mediocre books and still shift books. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
When I'm at my LCS, that's the one question I ask, like random people that I see picking up Spider-Man. Are you reading it? And they usually answer no. I'm just, I love Spider-Man. I'm buying it. I'm stacking it. But I hardly ever meet anybody that's physically reading Spider-Man.
But
When I pick it up, I do read it, and I love the concept of Mary Jane as the new Jackpot, but why such a garbage outfit? I don't like that. Oh, it's so I'm like, guys, why is everything going wrong behind the scenes? But yes, I still stand by the fact that this has not been a great run because editorial has just been pushing a specific corporate agenda with the title, and it's been interfering with the writing.
Yeah,
that is my theory.
For me, it's not been this run. It's been the last 3 runs. I mean, before this, we went from the Beyond storyline, which was all pretty much Ben Reilly related, which I'm not that guy who hates on Ben Reilly. I actually like Ben Reilly. But, before that, we spent the 83 issues trying to figure out who Kindred was and to come out. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about that was like the worst right there, going 83 issues for like, hey, next issue, we're finally going to reveal who Kindred was. I remember in the first 6 issues, they were doing that. And I was like, all right, I'm down to see who he looks cool. Yeah, and 83 issues later. And to get the explanation that we got, I was like, first off, it doesn't even make any sense to the whole scheme of like the story on. No, but honestly,
I would love to hear from the writers and staff. I would love to hear what the deal with that is, right? Because one day we'll hear it. Like
I've heard the best answer, and now I live by it. And this comes from Legion of Comics. Shout out to Mark. But it makes a lot of sense. Marvel is specifically tanking comics that they don't have the license to, and it makes sense. Why would they want to produce a comic so they can go and make multi-billion-dollar movies off of? No.
Well, look at what they did when Fox had Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
That was, what's his name, Perlmutter or Ike Perlmutter? That was savage. Like, I'm glad that came out in the open, but it was obvious because at one point, I was really deep into HeroClix, and there was no Fantastic Four, no X-Men, just none for a long time. And I'm like, what is Marvel doing? There were no posters that came to the shop. It was insane.
I'll give you another for instance, though. Like, we had 2 kind of sort of good, it depends on the person, but, Immortal Hulk and the Hulk run before that. Mm-hmm. I read both of those, and I want to say that they were decent. I'm not a big fan of the endings on how for me, that's Donny Cates. It's just Donny Cates. It's how he does his storylines. He has awesome beginnings, and they just kind of fizzle out for me. But all of a sudden, Disney gets the rights to Hulk from Universal, and all of a sudden we get a good Hulk series that everybody's raving about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just Spider-Man. It's not just Hulk. I honestly, all the characters that Marvel had, I went through my pull list and I looked at all the comics that I was buying to the stuff that Disney didn't have license to. And you're talking about all that was either meh or bad or, honestly, everything from Marvel that they have the license to has been great. Like Hellcat was one of my favorite series from this year. Like, it kind of sucks because their main big stuff should be that way, right? You're talking about like
Yeah.
Disney and Marvel are like, top grade. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not talking about like Dark Horse or IDW. We're talking about like the top two, and they're
Yeah.
producing meh stories or meh art or.
And then they're going to bump up their books another $1, and you're like, hey, I don't even like paying $4, much less $5.
That's another weird thing recently is, everybody complains about the legacy number. And I know that's confusing, but now the Centennial in Spider-Man, where every 15 issues, we're getting like a weird Centennial thing, and it's like a $6.99 to a $9.99 book, and it's like, what was significant about issue, 27 that had to be this legacy? No, I'm not understanding that at all.
Yeah. But
I would think it's because people are willing to pay for it, so they do it. Like,
yeah,
that's part of the problem, really.
I agree. So let's bounce on to our topic: favorite storylines.
Go the other direction.
I picked this because everybody's got a story or a list of books that just, when you read them the first time, you were just like, damn, these are awesome. And I'm going to throw one right out at the beginning because it one of the issues celebrated its 35th anniversary today, and that's A Death in the Family. That one I still love reading it. And I was one of the ones that participated in the phone vote. Today was the 35th anniversary of the release of Batman 427, where at the end you read it. If you had the direct edition, you read it. It had the phone ad in the back where you could call and vote on whether or not Jason lived or died. So I thought that was pretty cool. And like I've said before, first I voted kill him, then I felt bad about it and voted, then I voted again and for him to live, so it kind of canceled out.
But I was one of those folks that voted. Shout out to 1-900 numbers, back in the day. But no, I voted twice to kill that dude off. I was like, I was a big Dick Grayson fan. I was not I was like, nope, he was not my Robin. So I was kind of angsty mad back then.
I was not allowed to vote.
Canada.
Well, I'm in America, like the whole time. I have only family up here, but no, I wasn't allowed to vote. That was a 900 number. My parents were like, "Are you crazy?"
I did it.
That's 50 cents a call.
Yeah, I did it pay for.
It was It was more than 50 cents a call. It was. Outrageous.
It was like. Yeah, I want to say it was like $2.25 a call, and it was like I think the whole call cost me like $5 because like it was so long, like halfway through it asked you to put in more money or whatever. I was like, yeah, but okay, come on.
Yeah, I just my parents were like, this is a horrific scam. Don't fall for this.
So, have you guys ever heard of the rumor that when the voting was going on, that allegedly some guy had keyed his computer up to vote for the death number repeatedly, and that they said that it logged in like 600 and something votes, and if it was true, if this rumor was true, and you take out the votes, he would have lived. I've heard of the rumor, but there's a lot of myth and legend to what happened to Jason Todd. So whatever, it was the 80s. Who knew? The fact that a guy out there had a modem that could do that is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, like he put up. It was the late '80s. They were pulling all kind of straws out of the hat. I mean, we got the breaking of the bat right after that. We got Death of Superman. They were drawing straws trying to figure out how to sell comics. And honestly, at that time as a kid, it was so dope. Like you're talking about, there was a couple comics that did that had that interactiveness that pushed past the book. X-Men had a couple of them. like where they had those like phone numbers you could call in and you could hear a story, like instead of like voting or whatever, it was like you could call this. I remember there was a GI Joe one. I remember there was a Transformer one. I remember there was, but there was a couple different of those that like utilized
There
that
was
one
the
900.
Superman one, and I remember
Yeah,
the X-Men one.
the X-Men one was cool. And then quickly after that, they did the whole Pizza Hut deal where it was like you went to Pizza Hut, you got the comic and the VHS tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are big collector's items now.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I still got the comics, but I don't have the videotapes.
But I can assure you, because I heard it from Louise Simonson herself, that they were gearing up for Superman's wedding to Lois Lane.
Yep.
When DC Comics up above was like, we can't do it. We got to get them married on television. We want the marriage on Lois and Clark to be tied into the comic, and so like figure something out. And she said that many times when they would meet up to do the storylines, they would joke, "Oh, we're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him." When they got the mandate that you got to draw this out a few years so we can get them married on television, she was the first person in the room to go, "All right, let's kill him. That's it. We're gonna kill him."
Yeah.
And of course, DC ate it up and loved it because they could never dream that their team on Superman was going to come up with a big money seller like this just because they asked them, "Oh, postpone things till we get to the wedding on television."
Oh yeah. So, what are some stories that y'all think have just really impacted y'all?
Impacted me.
That
first
just made
one, the first one to impact me is Crisis on Infinite Earths.
That's a good one.
Because watching Supergirl's death is like the first comic book death to ever make me cry. Watching Barry sacrifice himself to stop that cannon, the anti-monitor cannon. Again, I was wrecked. The quotes that they use, the poetry that they use to describe their endings for the issues, I was on the floor, like just in tears. Like, and I read them 100 times. Like, I loved it, and it killed me. So that Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I didn't even read at the time it was released, I didn't start picking up Superman until Man of Steel. And I was trying to figure out all this stuff I missed. So I'm getting Crisis as back issues, even as a kid. And I'm putting it all together, and it had a huge impact on me. And then, of course, the death of Superman, that was major. I was in middle school when that happened. And they kept him dead for 2 freaking years. Yeah. That's a whole thing, so that was huge for me. And I mean, I had everything, Death of the Family, every crossover, every one shot, whatever happened, I was on top of it. Then we got the Reign of the Superman. I mean, they really kept going for it. Oh, and here's one from my childhood. And I think I have an issue on me. Fatal Attractions.
Oh yeah,
that was good.
Absolutely.
This was one of the first X-Men crossovers that I got really hyped for. Actually, I forgot what was the name of the little crossover they had when Xavier returned and they battled the Shadow King.
Oh, the Muir Island saga.
The Muir, that one really had me like on my toes. Like that one, I really remember. And then of course they relaunched X-Men, relaunched X Factor. We got the Havoc team with Polaris and Quicksilver, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I was really jazzed for that. So that was really big. Fatal Attractions, I thought was awesome. Magneto ripping out the freaking adamantium was just epic.
Yeah, I remember when Wolverine 75 come out here in Caraway. Man, it was 3 weeks after that book come out. I mean, we went to the shops, every shop in the 7 counties trying to find this book, and we couldn't find it. And then lo and behold, when it came out in the newsstands, I finally got a copy at the grocery store. So I mean, yeah.
Right before then was an event that I got. It was probably like the first event besides like Death of Superman and Breaking Out of the Bat that I got excited for. But it was the Phalanx saga. Now it's known as the first appearance of Sync, I think it is. But like you're talking about as a kid, they had the foily covers. They had like it was the first time I remember reading X-Men, and it led me to buying other X-Men titles because they all had matching covers. It was the first, like, I think, event that I went into, and it was actually a really good story. I love all the Warlock. Yeah. It's actually, like, I don't have them anymore, but it's actually a set that I would, well, there's a couple of X-Men sets that are particular, like the storylines, but Age of Apocalypse is another one that
Age of Apocalypse I love too.
you're talking about as a 90s kid growing up, going through as a teenager, getting those issues, man. You're talking about something I ate the fuck up. I loved all of it. I mean, like, and there was so many weird mix of, Gambit and the Externals. And I mean, it was great.
And it tied together so well, everything, And then when you read the Omega issue, right? Like, you knew what was going on. It was just like, oh, Kurt's back, and you knew all about what Kurt was doing with Mystique, and it's like, oh, Gambit arrived, and you understood because you were locked into every panel. But my favorite thing was the morph that we got out of there. Blink, which I think everybody loved that Blink, but I loved that Rogue. I was like, Mama Bear Rogue. I was like so in love with it.
Oh yeah. I think the whole Age of Apocalypse, one of the things that really just threw me off was the way Colossus acted.
There was a couple characters that threw me off, like Beast. It was the first time seeing Beast as a villain, the first time really seeing Cyclops as a villain, and at that time in the 90s, I don't think all that, everything that he had done it really processed for me. So I'd never, he was always the Boy Scout, the leader kind of thing. So that threw me for, a loop. I don't want to go too far. DVH, let's go with you next.
Yeah,
what you
DVH, what you got, man?
I mean, the most important for me is by far The Dark Knight Returns. I love that story.
Oh my God.
I love that book so much. I love the way it's written. I love the way it's drawn. I love the character piece. Okay, like I've got this thing about covers, right? I love to look at a cover and hear it. I can hear that lightning crash when I look at that cover.
Me too.
It's amazing. Like I can feel it in me. Like I love that book so much. It's wonderful.
FYI, that's one of my favorite Robins. Oh my God, I love her so much. But not only that, after they did the animated series, I don't know about y'all, but all the voices that they use from the animated voices, when I go back and read it, that's the voices I hear now, and I love it. I actually do a really good
animated movie. Like they're really
I do a really good impersonation of that older Bruce Wayne. Don't ask me to do it now, but that is a voice that I like. Sometimes I can pull out. And that is a great story. I mean, because I've read it way later on in life. I want to say I read it a little before the anime came out. But you're talking about a book that everybody hyped up that actually met expectations all the way through. I was like, ooh, this is good.
Well, I think it's really important to me specifically because as a kid, I didn't care for Batman at all. Like to the point where I didn't ever read Batman. And then when I got older, I heard about The Dark Knight Returns. I read Nightfall first, and that was the first one that I was like, okay, so there's something to Batman. Like there is something to read here. And that book just made it all click for me. Like I understand Bruce Wayne and more importantly Batman because of that book, and everything about it's got like a sense of humor in it that's just subtle enough that it's sort of a little bit sick, which is just what I like, And like his sadisticness is not so overt, like it's a problem. He's still Batman. But it's still just a little bit there. Like he wants to teach the mutant leader a lesson, for instance. I mean, that scene where he fights in the mud is just amazing. Like and obviously the stuff that happens with the Joker and the Superman fight. I will die to my dying breath saying that Batman can beat Superman in a fight because of that fight. Because every person I ever talk to that brings up the Batman couldn't beat Superman in a fight argument doesn't understand Superman and Batman as in who they are internally. Like Superman's biggest weakness is his humanity. That's the real thing. He's the more human than Batman is. Like
yes. But I would like to argue, because of the core of who both of them are, them really fighting doesn't ever really make sense.
No, it doesn't. That's heroes pitted versus heroes, but it's always fun for fan fiction to say,
Exactly.
like, and especially on that level, because you're talking about basically a god versus like a regular man, and that's the ultimate fan, like, fight fun, right? You're like, no, Batman could win, and putting those, why he would win kind of thing, and to physically actually get to see it finally, like that it could be possible for Batman to beat Superman.
On any given day, I can just be sort of like sat around, maybe on the train to work or something, and I'll just have something like, this would be a good death, but not good enough. Like dialogue like that will just pop into my head. Like I'll hear the dialogue, and just little clips, or the big speech with that Batman says to Clark, Clark.
What does he tell?
I want you to feel this, Clark. That one thing that I'm forgetting it now. I'm butchering it, but you know which one I'm talking about. That one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. If I can remember the line, I do that line well, where it's Bruce, and he's talking to Kelly as they're in the jet, and she's, he tells her something, and I can't remember. If I can remember that line, that's one of the lines that gets that accent of me going out. But no, that is a fantastic storyline. Some of my favorite parts are the weird parts of the book, like the Joker and how he's viewed in that way, and he's actually a toy that I have right up there. I love that Joker. I love a lot of the, you think about it. I mean, to take all those characters that were known, age them up, and actually do it in a real way. I thought that was brilliant.
Catwoman in it, because Selina's just an old, prostitute at the end of the day. Like she's old, dry, like she's not what she was, but still Bruce loves her. Like you can tell that there's still that fire and energy, even though she's just old and sad looking. Because that's what Gotham does to people. It makes them old and sad. Like eventually, it beats them down. It's wonderful. It's a great story.
Clear.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm gonna throw up a couple other stories that I always thought was cool. We talked about Nightfall.
Wait, hold on. My turn.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike. Let's go with Mike.
I'm gonna throw out. Okay, so mine's repetitive, but this is a story that I love. And, like, if you go back to the first review of this comic, I mean, you will see how inapt I didn't know this person, like the writer, the artist. I mean, this was kind of my intro into indies, really. Because for me, indies, going through the 90s, it was taboo. Besides Image and Dark Horse, I kind of stayed away from indies. I never heard anything good about them, even though they consistently were at my shops, But for me, from Image Comics, Mirka Andolfo's Sweet Paprika is by far one of my favorite storylines, and for many reasons. One, it's the whole storyline's written and drawn by Mirka Andolfo. And I apologize if y'all can hear anything in the background. They got sports going on. But this storyline, it spoke to me on so many levels. Not only is it written by a woman, but how provocative, and because it's basically, when you get the sum of it, it's a raunchy romantic comedy kind of thing. But like, you're talking about a series, 12 issues, that not only got me to laugh throughout the entire series, which, I mean, laugh out loud. Like, I can read comics and laugh in my head, like, it got me to do that. But no, physical, like, got me to, while I'm reading a book, that's talent. Okay, so another thing is, this book got me to cry. I had a couple different issues. I mean, you're talking about character buildup, everything, and the story it's so simple and basic. But isn't that the sweet spot, right? No, I love I love Sweet Paprika for so many reasons, because it's another book that I could just hand people, whether they might not even be a fan of sex. They might think they might be prude, all of it. But no, it's still something that can be enjoyed by, all kinds of people, all kinds of do what again?
The laugh.
No, but I love Sweet. But okay, so if I had to another great storyline, and I don't hear enough talk about this, and he's coming back, but Superior Spider-Man. You're
Yeah.
talking about one of the best reads from Spider-Man I've ever read. Like that book right there, and especially like excited from issue to issue, where every issue is, and there was filler issues, but still, you're talking about like the first issue. If you've read that, like the ending of that first issue, and us getting the introduction of who this Spider-Man was.
Yeah. Well, I'll admit when Superior first come out, I wasn't a fan, but I grew to like it real quick.
I'm right there with you. I was one of those people like, oh, how could they do Peter dirty like this? I'm like, oh, they're doing Peter dirty again in this issue. And then afterwards, I was like, man, they did a fantastic. John Stanislaw should be proud of this.
You're talking about at that time, I wasn't even reading Marvel. I had a ban on Marvel for like 4 or 5 years, and word of mouth was like, bro, they killed off Spider-Man, and Doc Ock's in his body, and guess what? He's a better Spider-Man. I was like, oh shit, I gotta read this shit. I was like, fine. I was like, let's do it.
Hey. Well, yeah. Okay, who else we got?
I was gonna say, Tony, you had some honorable mentions. Go ahead.
Okay, my honorable mentions, like I said, I can sit here forever and talk about some of the stories. I'm going to mention X-Men Inferno because that was my introduction to the X-Men, the Goblin Queen. I love that whole story arc, and the whole X Factor versus X-Men. It seemed like the X-Men were a little bit darker during that time. I really enjoyed it, and of course, the big fight with Mr. Sinister, that was always cool. Yeah, we always there are given books, so we always talk about like Kraven's Last Hunt, my Secret Wars. I loved every little shenanigan that went with the 12-issue series, but seeing Doctor Doom get his ass handed to him, I mean that you didn't really see that a lot, and that cover of him being trashed on the cover. That is something else. I need to say hi to some people that popped up. Steve Bizzle and Chop popped up a while ago. And my buddy Greg, the guy that gave me the Darkhawk comics. And we got Mr. CBCA Awards himself, Mr. Brian. How you doing, Brian LCS?
Hey, Brian.
But as far as trying to come up with something that just really impacted me, I'm going to go with The Kid That Collects Spider-Man All Day Long. I recommend that book. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, you do talk about that a lot. It makes me want to read it. I've got to try and get that done. It's got to be on the app, right? I'll just.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I probably overhype it more, but I just think that is just if you have a heart, you're going to love the story.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds perfect.
But, like I said, the first part is your typical beat 'em up comic book. He fights the bad guy, but that last story is just amazing. I mean, shout out to my brother Tim. What's up, man? And
hey, Tim.
Like I said, I could come up with 100 other stories. Hell, Torment. I loved Torment. The first 5 issues of Todd's Spider-Man series. I love that.
Yeah, that was good. I forgot that's what that called. Yeah, that was actually really good.
Calypso. I loved Calypso.
Mm-hmm. Calypso. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up one. I'm gonna bring up one that I enjoyed it when it started, wasn't a fan when it ended, and then I'm gonna tell you what the writer said when I met him, and that's the Clone Saga. I loved the Clone Saga when it first started. I thought it had a lot of potential, and then of course we know it lasted forever.
Yeah.
And I could really cared about how it ended. And in 2014, I got to talk to Howard Mackey. I met him in Comic Conway, and we were talking about it. He said, "So what do you think about the Clone Saga?" And I went, He went, "Oh no." I said, "No, don't get me wrong." I said, "It had a great start." I said, "But in all honesty, it lasted longer than it should have. It overstayed its welcome." And he told me, he said, "Man," but I told him, I said, "My guess is that y'all were doing what corporate told y'all to do, not what y'all wanted to do." He said, "Dude, we would have had that thing wrapped up in less than 6 months." He said, "But Marvel told them to make it last over a couple years." And that was why it got watered down like it was.
It was a whole bunch of issues because I know it was like editorial problems. And I've seen like Clone Wars was like, you talk about a fascinating thing to do research into because there's so many aspects on why it failed as a really good storyline, but what I heard originally, it was that certain people had, you know, the whole outcome of the storyline, and that person walked away from the project. Well, I think he was forced to walk away from the project. And with that, when he left, he didn't, you know, he had a team that was working under him, and he didn't give him insight to what was going on. So at that point, they just, you know, they kind of winged it. And I think even at that point, I think a year into it, they switched teams again, or it might have been less than that. And that was a little more of the confusion. There's still people to this day that believe that, you know, that in that smokestack that, you know, Ben Riley's still, you know, he's still dead, or maybe it's Peter, or you know, I've heard some theories.
You know,
And
I'm sorry.
I was going to say another thing that Howard had mentioned was that originally the person that was responsible for everything was supposed to have been Harry. He was resurrected, and then Marvel squashed that and said, "No, we're going to bring Norman back."
Yeah, they didn't want to touch base on Harry at that time. I can't remember the reasoning. It was something that DC was doing. I remember that. Let's do some other honorable mentions real quick. Cliff?
Okay. I got one. Right. I went when I stayed away from Marvel for absolutely ages. Like, I mean, like 15 years, didn't read a Marvel book. And then I got the app at one point, about 5 years ago, and read all of Civil War, including the tie-in issues in like not one sitting, but over like a month. I just read.
That's a lot of books.
It is. It's 120 books or something, and I loved it. I mean, it made me fall in love with Marvel again, really, because like I just was so disenchanted with them. Other than the movies, I still like the movies. I just didn't want to read anything. It just wasn't interesting. Because I was so into DC, particularly. I was like super into DC at that point. And Civil War, I really enjoyed it. And I particularly enjoyed the tie-in issues and stuff like that. The stuff with Punisher in it made me fall in love with Frank. I mean, he's just brilliant. He's a tremendous character. It really made me understand why people liked Punisher so much. Because I really hadn't thought about Punisher until that point, particularly. And the ending as well was a really cool ending that you can't redo that kind of thing. It's a one-off, I feel, to get that sort of emotional punch right at the end with Cap and all that. I loved it. I think it was great.
Okay. I guess in my honorable mentions, I'll go with Infinite Crisis, which, as we know, I think is the only acceptable successor to Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh my God, if we're gonna go even smaller, I mean, I have a lot of love for Zero Hour, and you know, and how Jordan Parallax going crazy. Like, no, I'm just gonna go back to the center of the crisis and I'll fix everything.
I've just thought of another one. Okay, good. Just popping my head.
Go.
Blackest Night. I love that.
Wonderful,
amazing stuff. And like, I'm not a Green Lantern guy particularly. I never have been, but like that sort of era of Green Lantern got me really hooked. I read everything I get.
For Jeff Johns and team, because you know Peter Tomasi's involved and Gleason and all of them, they laid down the foundation for some serious lore, played that out, and then brought on Blackest Night.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was incredible.
Yeah, it was.
And it didn't disappoint. There's a solid beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
I want to touch base on one of my favorite events, DC's The Metal. I like both. What is it? Heavy metal or dark metal, or I can't remember. But
you talking about the second one or the first one?
The second one.
Both. Because I see it all as one event, technically. I mean, technically, it's all Batman Who Laughs. You know, it's the first part is him making his way to the DC. You know, but not only that, but reading. You know, I like Snyder and Capullo. They're two of my favorite teams. But being a Batman fan, it was a Batman eccentric event. So that, you know, and it wasn't just Batman exclusive. You know, that did some of my favorite cameos during the event, like Cyborg Superman being a massive threat at one point, and I mean, there was some really cool things, but not only that, but I've used that comic to get people into comics. Like my best friend Glenn 2K, like he was reading nothing but older comics, and you're talking about just with a short explanation and showing off a little of the book. You know, hey, this is what's going on in this event. You might want to check it out. You know, kind of thing. Man, I've got so many people hooked on just that event, and now they're you know buying modern comics. And, you know,
I'm
past
reading.
that
I'm reading Injustice at the moment. I'm nearly at the end of Injustice. I think I
justice.
might move on to Metal after Injustice, just because I like the sort of slightly out of continuity sort of events that they've done like that. Injustice, I thought was going to be just some throwaway video game tie-in. Amazing. I mean, the first two trade paperbacks of Injustice just blew my mind. It's really special.
God, those
Yeah.
flashbacks to who Clark used to be kill me every time.
Yeah.
Every time. But good Lord, DBH, I want your thoughts on all the metalness, because I thought the first metal was okay, right? And I thought the one shots were superior to the main story. When it was over, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this, and I don't think Snyder can handle an epic on his own. Then in Justice League, we're going on and on with Perpetua, and I'm like, oh my god. Then that's like a big thing for Dark Knight's heavy metal, or whatever the heck it is.
Oh, death metal.
Death metal, and oh my god, just there's so many things that make me rub my face.
Personally, that metal was okay for me, but metal, I think it does take a little bit of lore to get the full like love of it. And honestly, I don't know if I had the DC lore going into metal, but death metal, like once we had like the Batman Who Laughs actually going after Dr. Manhattan, and that all getting added into it, and like the whole Flash family and what they were doing. That was a series that not only I loved all the general tie-ins, like I ate the Robin King stuff up, like that actually introduced me to another one of my favorite artists, Massimo, because he was doing most of the Robin King stuff.
And again, it's the tie-ins being better than the main story that gets me.
See, but I do like the main event, like that whole because that led me into like becoming a huge Wonder Woman fan after that, because basically, even though it started out as a Batman event, it really turned into a Wonder Woman event. I mean, the whole like conclusion of the event was I mean, basically when we got to death metal, it was pretty much a Wonder Woman event at that time, and I appreciate it. It was the first time that DC did a major event where they kind of used one of the Trinity members besides Flash and besides, I mean, because at that time we were dealing with Flashpoint, we were dealing with, Rebirth. Both those explanations were Flash. The reason that both times they reboot were Flash explanations. So for me, and that's like everybody's like, oh, DC's always Batman eccentric. No, they're not. They have, I mean, yes, comic heavy, yes, but event wise, there's never really been a huge Batman event. So for me, that was being a Batman fan. It was epic, and it actually had like I like the whole background lore with Barbados. Perpetua was new for me. Cliff, you're probably going to kill me, but I've never read Final Crisis or Infinity Crisis. I've never read a lot of the past events.
You will love Infinite Crisis, and that's your homework.
I've been looking for
editorial disaster. Again, all the tie-ins to Final Crisis are superior to Final Crisis. And I don't know what happened editorially between Batman R.I.P. and Final Crisis, but I think it broke Grant Morrison for a little while, but that's only my speculation. And then they had J.G. Jones say, oh, I couldn't keep up with the art on this book, which was BS. And then all of a sudden they made a bunch of changes to the last two issues of Final Crisis. So Final Crisis I have labeled messy, but still an interesting ride. And then we get Heroes in Crisis, garbage. Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth, super garbage. Look, sure, there's some great moments here and there, but overall, like, no. You want a quality crossover, Infinite Crisis, Countdown to Infinite Crisis, all of that was thought out, was planned, really well done. I miss that.
Well, I could say a new one, this Night Terrors, which everybody was real speculative. Everybody was mad,
Yep.
and I mean, I can't tell you how. I mean, because there's some DC fans within our community, and I pride myself of being a friend of those DC fans.
Yeah.
But I could tell you that none of them were on board for this event. I think me and a couple other people were like the only people that was like, yes, let's do it. Horror in the middle of.
I was
Yeah.
full of trepidation, and I also thought it was a bad move to not do a horror event at Halloween time.
Well, that's everybody's major complaint, and come on, they got something planned for Halloween. They always do. I mean, we're getting.
I would like
I
to
mean,
think that whatever
well,
they're going to
DC's.
do with Sandman, that would play out during Halloween. That would be really cool.
I think that's going to be like a one shot that explains how they're bringing him back. Because if
Yep.
you read the end of that event, it doesn't make any sense that we're about to get his own solo series.
But it is a solid beginning, middle, end.
I like it, and for me, this one was. I mean, you think about events, and they all have tie-ins, but what's the reason on the tie-ins? This event actually had a reason to buy all the tie-ins. It was
Let me name one more that actually affected me as a kid that I think you'll all be fascinated about, because the event took place across Marvel annuals, and that was Atlantis Attacks.
Oh, I did.
Yep.
I knew you were gonna.
That was so
That was a good
freaking cool, and I forgot about it. And very recently, I had to make people remember and pull up that cover with all the kidnapped women, that were forming the Serpent Crowd. And I was like, how did you guys miss this or forget about this? This was epic.
Atlantis Attacks was good. I do remember that event.
Now, that was a hell of an event with a payoff.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I've only read New 52 Aquaman pretty much. I think that's the only Aquaman.
Well, no,
Marvel.
Atlantis Attacks is a Marvel event.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right. See,
Yeah.
I have no idea then.
It was Fantastic Four and Namor.
Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men,
Right.
everybody.
Avengers.
DVH, if you enjoy that 80s, 90s Marvel bubble, Atlantis Attacks will be right up your alley.
It really depends on how well written it is. Much like
It
all,
is.
all,
It's
all
good.
of Marvel, like some of it's written really well and some of it isn't. So if it's
There may
written
be
well,
a few that weren't written as well as others, but overall, it was the kind of thing that.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I lost him.
He froze. Freeze frame. Freeze frame.
He's mid rant still.
DVH, the Atlantis
still
Attacks is like, yeah, we're still here. You still, we don't see you, but I was just gonna say DVH, Atlantis Attacks and the Evolutionary War were crossovers that went across the summer annuals for both of them. But
As I remember,
were
they had
really
like
good.
they had like 4 that they did because they had the Extinction Agenda, the Atlantis Attacks. I want to say they had like 4 or 5 of those events that they only did in the annuals.
Yeah, I know. Like one year, instead of doing like one storyline where it was all the annuals, they took like 4 of each annual and did a story like they did like Days of Future Present, and then they did a few others. But are we gonna get Cliff back?
I don't know.
Not sure.
Oh.
Well, I'll talk about
What
some
is-
of mine then.
Hit it. I can go
All
for
right,
days.
so
man.
I'm just gonna bring up a few that probably y'all might know about. You should know about. If you don't, then I think they're pretty cool. For Spider-Man, I'm always going to recommend Hobgoblin Lives. It was a 3-issue miniseries where we find out who the real Hobgoblin was. It came out in the 90s. And that's when they finally said that Roderick Kingsley was the Hobgoblin. Now, as much as I love Tim Drake, and I love Tim Drake, the Robin Limited series and all that stuff is cool. And I'm going to get the issue numbers wrong, but there was a 4-issue miniseries in Detective Comics around 618, and they called it Rite of Passage. And that was when his parents got their plane crashed down in the Caribbean or Jamaica or Bermuda, somewhere around there. And they got kidnapped by this voodoo cult, and Batman went to go get them. And I believe the mom died, and that was when his dad got paralyzed. And Tim's just going through this emotionally, because while Batman's doing that, he's trying to track down the Money Spider, which you find out is Anarchy. But there's just one part.
You don't need to explain anymore. You had me at Voodoo Cult. I'm in.
But there's just one page where he's looking at his dad in the hospital, and he's like, "I guess this is just something that all Robins have to suffer through." And I was like, "Wow." And then some others. Oh yeah, okay. The last one I'll mention, and DVH should have known if I'm talking about storylines, I'm going to mention this one, and that is the Underbase saga from Transformers.
Yeah,
my boy Starscream becomes Uber Starscream and just kills everybody.
I was kind of hoping some Transformers made the list. Like, I'm surprised DVH didn't. You know, they usually brings up this one called First Light or something like that.
The Lost Light.
Last Light.
It's wonderful, but it's a whole. It's not really a story arc so much as like the whole run of, like, if you see what I mean. It's like, it's like saying Amazing,
like a whole ongoing.
Man. Yeah, it's like 10 years long, right? It's really good, and More Than Meets the Eye as well, which is the series that precedes it. It sort of bleeds into the Lost Light. It's wonderful stuff.
DVH, you've mentioned it to me and on the shows before. What was the name of the storyline where it's more political and you find out where like the origin of Decepticons?
That's pretty much all of More Than Meets the Eye, and specifically Robots in Disguise, because Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye were concurrent series, basically. So half the Transformers were in one book and the other Transformers were in the other book. And Robots in Disguise specifically is set on Cybertron post-war, and that's how they like build their new society, basically. Whereas in More Than Meets the Eye, it's all the Transformers that left Cybertron because they didn't want to have to put up with that, basically, look for something somewhere else. So it's a good idea to read both of them, but if you're going to read one of the two runs, I go with More Than Meets the Eye and The Lost Light rather than Robots in Disguise. Still, mainly because More Than Meets the Eye is funnier. Like, it's a more smartly written comedy, basically.
Yeah.
As well as being, action and all that usual stuff. And, political drama is all the way through all of it. They're both, it's all wonderful. Like, I love that stuff. I can't recommend it enough. And mainly because nobody seems to read it. You see what I mean? Like, I don't ever hear anybody else talk about it. So it's my duty as a Transformers fan to bring it up every time.
Oh my, Brian LCS. I am in a hotel in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. My home is only 1,200 square feet. And if you ever come up to visit and join us in the Council of Comics, you can use the guest room.
I'll touch base on some other ones that aren't from the big, I guess the big two, but stories that I believe that is significant where they did something different kind of thing. But recently we had Chroma, and I know a lot of people are talking about this book, Void Rivals, but the artist that's doing Void Rivals has been, but that's his book right before he did Rivals. But in this book, he basically made color a character. For me, that was brand new. Like the whole premise of the story is because it's only a 4-issue series. It is a little pricey at $7.99, but they're thick boy books, and the art in it is astounding. But it's basically about like a dystopian future, and it's basically about the last city on Earth. And at one time, for some reason, these gigantic Godzilla-sized crocodiles appear all over the Earth, and for some reason, they are drawn to color. So at this time, like, and that applies to everything, skin color, blood, that kind of stuff. So at this time, that last city, why they're the last city is because they've literally, minus color out of everything. They use chalk to, pat themselves down. The whole city's layered in this certain type of clay and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the premise. But what it gets to is like you find out that once every like year they have supposedly one of these monsters that they've captured in a baby state, and they release it, and the whole kind of city beats on this thing, and you find out that it's not like a monster. It's a little girl that happens to have chromosomed eyes. You know, she has two different colored eyes, and they believe she's, you know, like a monster or whatever because she was born with those chromosome eyes, you know. No, it was a fantastic story, like beginning to end. And you're talking about color is physically a character in the book. It was fantastic.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Do me a favor and message it me because I'll forget that completely.
I will.
That seems like something that we all need to check out. Sounds really interesting. Yeah.
I've still been meaning to buy the trade for Do a Power Bomb.
Oh,
I have not.
don't get me started. Like I could go on forever about Do a Power Bomb. This is my favorite thing ever.
I was one of those dumbasses that passed. I was like, I'm not really into wrestling.
I love wrestling. I still passed.
It took me months and months of listening to DJ Links being like, "No, you've got to read it. You've got to read it every time."
Everybody praises that book.
And eventually went and went, all right, I'll read the first issue, and I was like, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I should have got this from the start." Yeah, it's phenomenal. I love that book so much.
I was a dumbass because I actually read Beta Ray Bill before that, and that was one of my top picks from Marvel from that year. Was his, you know, that little 4-issue. I love that series.
Daniel Warren Johnson rarely does anything wrong in my eyes. He's wonderful.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, we have our fingers crossed for Transformers. We'll see how he does.
Oh, he's bound to nail that. I've got full confidence. I will be so shocked if I don't like it. You won't believe it. Can't wait.
I have high hopes.
I was going to say, I believe that'll be
his style of writing and his art together is perfect for Transformers in my eyes. Really.
I believe that'll probably be the hot book for October. Is Transformers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
It already is the hot book.
I mean, I think I've pre-ordered 11 copies of it so far. So like.
GD.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get.
I know it's going to be more, is what I'm getting at. I'm going to get more than that. It's going to be mental.
I'm just trying to get the 4 covers that I pre-ordered, and then I'll go from there.
Yeah, smart man.
I'll say it's kind of fantastic to be hyped about something other than, you know, superheroes. You know.
Yeah, it is.
Not to cut you off.
Yeah, it's true. Well, guys, I'm going to segue into the special announcement that I've been teasing about. I got a big announcement to make. I got a little video I'm going to play. And, of course, Mike and Cliff already know about it, but I'm going to play this video and see what y'all think. Well, hold on. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Holding us in suspense over here, you know, with DVH.
Yeah, I know. It's not.
It's tripping. Come on.
It's not. There we go. And where's the audio?
Can we narrate for you? I'll narrate. Hey, I'm Tony, and I'd like to talk about Heroes in a Half Shell. No.
It's not playing the audio, man, for some reason. That's odd.
Let's try again.
Let me try this again. Upgrade to an extra camera. Hold on. Yeah, I haven't upgraded yet, so let's try this now.
I've been on YouTube for 3 years, man. I'm still on my phone. If it works, don't.
Saturday, March 9th.
Hey.
Sunday, March 10th at the Hilton Garden Inn, 2840 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, Arkansas. B&B Collections, partnered with a bunch of other organizations, are going to be doing the first Comic-Con in Jonesboro in a long while. Nerds Assemble Con, Heroes in the Half Shell. And 4 of the main guests that will be featured is Steve Levine, Jeremy Clark, Wayne Grayson, and Tim Latte. Now I'm going to show you the flyer. There's a QR code, and if we can get it done right, maybe y'all can scan that code, and it should give you some information. Now, the big announcement regarding this is that for the first time ever, me and my wife will actually have a vendor booth at this con. She'll be selling a lot of her cups and stuff that she has done. Here's one, even though it's a misprint. There's a couple that she's done. But the announcement regarding the channel is that I've been talking to the guys, Brandon and Bo at B&B Collections, and while my wife is selling cups, I'm going to be doing live streams from the expo. What they will entail, who knows right now at this point, but Comiverse will be at the expo doing live stuff. And we discussed, maybe it's not in stone yet, but hopefully we're going to do something with these guys. Maybe they can sit down for about 10 or 15 minutes and we can do some interviews, which will be a first for me. But that's not in stone. I'm really looking forward to this, and this will be the first time that Comiverse will be exposed to a con, even though it's a small con. We're looking forward to doing that. I'm going to save up some cash. Maybe I can pick up some books as well. And that's the big announcement. Comiverse is going to be featured at a Comic Con in 2024. I'm really excited, and y'all let me know what you think.
So, to be clear, Tony, you're going to a Comic Con and you're going to expose yourself. Is that the?
Yeah.
I'm with
yes,
you.
yes, yes.
He admitted to
it. That's amazing, man. That's really cool. Yeah,
full exposure.
I look forward to seeing all that footage. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to take a minute and do a shameless plug for my wife because I don't normally do this. So I'm going to make myself big. All right. So I want to show y'all some of the cups that she has done. This is a Turtles cup.
Ooh.
Nice.
And she does all different types. This is one that she did for the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
That's one of my favorite movies. I watch it every year on Halloween. We got a Harley.
I'm watching more than one.
we got a little Harley one she did. Like I said, we got cups for days.
I'm speaking my language over here. Ooh, a dragon. All right.
Yeah, I think she did this for somebody's birthday. If you like horror.
Damn.
Oh, awesome.
She's speaking to my soul.
Okay, even if you like Barbie, we got Barbie.
I'm good with that.
For everybody, yeah.
Right?
Mike, I feel like you're like jotting down notes of like which.
I am over here. Beetlejuice. All right.
And this is the best one. I saved the best one for last.
Got a Nightmare Before Christmas in there? Ooh, Michael Myers.
She has made Nightmare Before Christmas. My daughter, she made one for my daughter, and I don't know what she did with it. But yeah, this is her passion project. We joke and say it's her retirement. That's her retirement thing. But
awesome.
That's awesome.
She loves making these things, and she's selling these things. She has a Facebook group called Made Just for You. That's the name of her group or her thing she's calling this. And yeah, all these are for sale, all except for the dragon, because that's spoken for. Yeah, I figured I'd shout her out real quick, show her off some of her cups. She doesn't know I'm doing this, so if she watches this, she'll be like,
We're gonna need links on your IG and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure people.
I'll try to post the links to her Facebook group because she does everything through there. She is on Instagram as well, so I'll post a link to her Instagram as well because when it comes to the cup stuff, I let her handle that on her own. Now I will say, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed it because she made a coffee mug for Scotty, and it was on one side it said Comic Book Addicts, and on the other side it had the Serenity Prayer. And he does show that off. He does show that off from time to time.
I have seen the cup.
And I don't know if y'all remember one of my giveaways. I gave away a mouse pad and what else was it? I think it was a coffee mug or something, but it had the Comiverse logo. And I told my wife when we go do the expo, I'm going to have whether I do it myself because we can actually make T-shirts. I'm either going to make a T-shirt of Comiverse or I'm going to have one made.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, for sure.
But guys, that's all I've got. Y'all got anything going on? Want to go around the horn and see what y'all got going on. Mike, what you got going on?
Reviews like always. Next up on the block, probably right after I finish this, will be "Kill Your Darlings." Is a review. If you did not pick up this book, I highly suggest maybe just checking out the art or the story premise is fantastic. It's another book that's going to be on a hot list. I've already seen I was requested to do it, and I wasn't even going to pick it up. Luckily, by my frenemy, Pocan Joe Reviews, but he highly suggests I pick up this book, and it did not fail. It was good. But no, tomorrow night come by for Trev's 1,000 sub giveaway. That will be I think 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain. Some other times in your time zone, I don't know. Check my story; it'll be there. That's all I got. Reviews and that's Sunday night thing. Yeah.
Cliff, what you got going on?
Sunday nights, Council of Comics, box office, and movie review. This week we're reviewing Robin Williams' Popeye. I'm headed out right now to. I actually kind of like it. I'm headed out right now to Midnight Madness at Comic Book Shop in Ottawa, which they do every year during Ottawa Comic Con. And last year I think it actually was at midnight. This time it's like, no, we're starting at 9. We end at midnight. Monday nights, Council of Comics, we always do keys and hot keys, comics of the week, and what's coming out this week, and our picks. And of course, Wednesday, we usually have our new comic video out on time. And sometimes it's Thursday because we all have to work. But that's pretty much it. And of course, I've got my mystery boxes that I'm selling on my Instagram. It's clipfuncomics.com. You can go check that out. And I'm doing my 1,000 subscriber giveaway for my Instagram as well.
Awesome.
DVH, what you got going on, brother?
Yeah, so
Yes.
I did an unboxing earlier, so I'll have one up on Monday and one up on Friday probably. I'm getting a parcel from Rob Fatstacks very soon. So in theory, next Saturday, I'll likely have a live at some point during the day with him, and we'll do that unboxing because I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. That's about it.
Well, over here in Comiverse, I'm gonna have a lot of stuff going on. I put if anybody was wondering, Tony, where's this week's Tony's Comic Spotlight? I'm gonna finish filming it and editing it tomorrow. Hopefully I can have it out. It is the first appearance of Dick Grayson Robin from Detective Comics 38. The next week, the spotlight is going to be about the first appearance of Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. That is my very first, what would you call it? Gary requested it. Gary B requested it. And it was more of a joke. He was like, "Hey man, I'm still waiting for you to do something on Jessica Drew." And I said, I do take requests, even though now I'm booked all the way till after November because I've got my Halloween stuff I'm working on. But you can still send a request and I'll put it in there somewhere. Okay.
That's my jam, man. Request. Oh my god, I eat that shit up.
Tuesday, I'll be dropping episode 2 of Tony's Keys. Everybody seemed to really like that one, so I've got the next video already pre-recorded. And yes, I had facial hair in that one. Mike, I told my wife what you said, and she's still not a big fan of it. Maybe I can get something to soften my beard, and she'll come around. Because my beard,
good, I'm telling you, you need to bring that look back, man.
When I try to grow it out, it's very rough. It's like sandpaper. So I guess I have to get something to make
get
it
some
soft.
Beard oil.
Yeah, that's what everybody's been saying. Get conditioners and stuff for that.
Like $6.
In 2 weeks, I guess it will be the 16th. We'll return with episode 10. Hopefully, I'll be able to tell y'all that we're going back to a weekly episodic thing because I'm getting my home internet nailed down this week. And the last thing, sometime in the near future, I don't know when, but I use my reward points to get a new Transformers statue to go with my Megatron. So it's free. And DVH already knows what it is. But it was the decision when he got me the Starscream. It was the other thing.
That's how it starts.
Yeah. So I think this will make statute number 5. But anyway, I'll be doing an unboxing of that, and when it comes on, if it comes out on Saturday, then Durr
You reading
says
the
I'm home.
comments? Yeah.
Durr says I'm home. Start over. Let me join.
That's
Don't
what
you
the
dare
replay's
in.
Don't
for,
you
isn't
dare
it?
in. And then
Yeah.
Rich stopped by. Hey, Rich.
Yeah, you can catch it on the replay, buddy. But y'all, unless y'all got anything else, I'm going to wrap this up. It was really awesome. I thank you guys for hanging out. And anybody that was in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us as well. I think we had a pretty good episode. Anybody watching this on the replay, I thank you. And oh wait, I almost forgot. We went through the whole show and I didn't mention this. Madam Blaster has a Kickstarter coming out with
Yeah.
it's called Halloween, man. Y'all got to go out. And she got like a character named Lucy that she's going to be in there. Yep. She did a I think she did a cosplay this morning, didn't she?
She did.
But yeah, if you got the extra money, I'm going to try to next week try to do something to fund it, to help fund it. She's a fellow YouTube sister, so we gotta back her and do what we can to support her if you can.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. But that's it. That's all I've got, y'all. Thanks for appreciate everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and we're gonna end this thing. We'll see y'all next time.